Robert C. O'Brien, the Newbery Award-winning American author, for his novel Miss Frisby and the Rats of NIHM. Robert Leslie Conley was born on January 11, 1918 in Brooklyn, New York. He is the third child of Leslie Marsden Conley and Agnes O'Brien Conley, along with four other siblings in an Irish Catholic family. After Robert was born, his family moved to Amityville, Long Island. Through his childhood years, he attended a partial school. This experience, along with his family, was an ordeal time. Since he was a middle child, things were not enduring or easy, and it would get out of control with his family at times. A majority of the time, he dreaded school and was always sick. Robert still had himself in control because he had an enormous interest and great talent in music. This kept Robert from stepping out of line, as he was greatly admired for his singing and piano playing abilities. Along with the desire to pursue his music talents further, he also began by writing and doing rhyme poetry. When writing short stories as a youth, he had a quite dazzling imagination, where he gave himself heroic roles, though this seemed to him a phase he was going through and ended in his teen years. When he entered Amityville High School, he began to develop a desire to focus more on his music studies. Robert was a very dedicated student to his work, where he would wake up at 4 a.m. to complete his schoolwork and music lessons. In high school, he could not give up on writing and joined the school's newspaper as an editor. After graduating from high school, he attended Williams College in Massachusetts from 1935 to 1937. Towards the end of his second year, he found college to be too stressful. After having some time off, he returned back to his music studies, following at Juilliard School of Music. Alongside having just entered Juilliard, he took courses at Columbia University. Since Robert was only taking a minimal amount of classes at these schools, he was then persuaded to return full-time by his parents. With this encouragement, Robert was able to earn his bachelor's degree in English from the University of Rochester in 1940. Even having received his degree, he still continued studying music at Eastman School. Soon after graduation, he felt a stronger passion for writing and began his career in journalism. A year later, in 1941, Robert worked at Newsweek magazine in New York City in the clip desk, and within 3 years, he moved up to staff writing. In the 8 years that passed, he continued to work journalism careers, along with meeting his wife, Sally McCaslin, a researcher for the Newsweek magazine's book department. Aside from working in journalism, he liked to make luxurious furniture and grow flowers in a specially arranged weed-free bed. Along the year of 1951, Robert got on board with the National Geographic magazine, where he became a writer and editor who traveled around the world on assigned tasks. In the 1960s, he got glaucoma, which did not allow him to work at night due to his vision while driving. Since he now had more free time, he began to write novels for children. Since his current job did not allow outside written work from their staff, Robert changed his last name to Robert C. O'Brien as a pen name. In the year of 1968, Robert published his first novel at 50 years of age, named The Silver Crown. This novel goes about of a young girl who receives a silver crown for her 10th birthday. Slightly after her birthday, she leaves her family in a devastating fire. The crown then portrays an evil force which commits harsh acts on the modern civilization. From critics, though, Robert gained recognition of being a serious writer for children's fiction. Less than 5 years from his first novel, Robert was awarded the Newbery Medal for his writing in Miss Frisby and the Rats of NIHM. This award is given for the highest annual achievement in the field of children's literature. This is a fantasy novel about a field mouse trying to save her sixth child, along with her 4 other children, before the farmer plows the field. She then encounters herself with many helpful friends, including a group of intelligent rats of NIHM. Robert was praised for how he portrayed human themes and animal characteristics. Miss Frisby and the Rats of NIHM was also awarded the Boston Globe Horn Book Award, the Lewis Carroll Shelf Award, which is given to those that have enough of the qualities of Lewis Carroll's work to belong on the same shelf as Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, the Kansas William Allen White Children's Book Award, Massachusetts Children's Book Award, the Missouri Mark Twain Book Award, and the Pacific Northwest Young Reader's Choice Award. A reason prior to writing his Newbery Medal novel was the fact that at one point he had speculations about the human race to exterminate itself. He always wondered, though, if humans were taken away, who or what would survive? He thought about scorpions and cockroaches, and ultimately, he could not see that possible. But for rats he could, because they are tough and highly adaptable to a changing environment. Robert did a second novel called A Report from Group 17, which constitutes a mixed political intrigue with curiosity reaching from scientific research. It was picked as an alternate selection by Book of the Month Club. Robert's final book, called Z for Zachariah, published 2 months prior to his passing in 1973. This novel is a science fiction thriller story that tells the events of the war through diary entries of a 16-year-old girl as she survives a nuclear war. The awards given for this novel are the Edgar Award for Best Juvenile Mystery of the preceding year and the Jane Addams Award given to those who promote the cause of peace and justice. This novel was finished by his family for the last chapter, since he then passed away at the age of 55 due to a heart attack in Washington, D.C. He was married to his wife for 30 years upon his death, and they had a dog named Nathan Lane and a cat named Jonathan Robertson. Robert liked to name his pets like his own children, so they felt like part of the family. The legacy and greatness of an author has been passed on to his daughter, Jane Leslie Conley, who continued the sequels to her father's Newbery awarded novel, Miss Frisby and the Rats of NIHM. She wrote Frasco and the Rats of NIHM and R.T. Margaret and the Rats of NIHM. From these novels came an animated film named The Secret of NIHM, along with the sequel. Of all the letters and replies he receives from those who admire his work, he received one of his greatest replies from a child, which said, "Dear Mr. O'Brien, I too am writing a book." The feelings in letters from children he holds dear to his heart. As he says, he knows they are from special children and from the dreamers, for they are the future writers. His influences come from his childhood, his fascination with valleys, hidden worlds. He writes with sympathy and the perception of children along with their feelings. His writing styles are in close relation to his childhood, for he loved nature and he had a strong sympathy as well as a good understanding of children. Though his younger years were a struggle, he knew how to live young and vulnerable. In his novels, he shares his concern for the weak and defenseless, whether his characters are animal or human. According to Robert, writing fiction was a way to safely explore complex situations with humans. As a writer, you create the world. People are added in it. Things go wrong, yet there is no damage at all to the real world. For this is Robert Leslie Conley, known as Robert C. O'Brien, a great American author.